Women's Corner. Right here, we'll talk about everything that has to do with the women, trending issues, and of course, health issues. And we'll try to give solutions. And at the same time, we just try to educate ourselves, inform ourselves, and it's usually very, very much fun. And of course, the men and the children are very welcome. My name is Rose Blossom. Today, we're talking about relationship with in-laws. The other time we talked about in-laws, we're talking about dealing with in-laws, like the other reverse side of being an in-law, or when you have I want to put the bad in-law, but the troublesome or the challenging in-laws. So this time around is how you can actually have a relationship with your in-law, how you can build the relationship with your in-laws, and right now how you can actually also maintain a healthy relationship with your in-laws. I want you to know we're streaming live on Facebook, on Twitter at Galaxy Television, and of course we have our YouTube channels at Galaxy TV, Galaxy TV News. We also have Galaxy TV Entertainment and Galaxy TV Comedy for your laughs. And of course we have our app on Google Play Store and Apple Play Store. So you can go there, download, just type in Galaxy Television and download our app so you can watch us live. Okay, today we're talking about relationship with in-laws. But before that, let's quickly take a short break, and right after the short break, I will introduce my guest. Of course, she is a mother, she is a wife, so definitely she'll be one of the best persons, and of course she's a minister too, so she'll be in a very good position to talk about this topic. But let's go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll start talking. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Yes, it's still Women's Corner. Okay, we joining us on this program today is Bishop Ben Osaretim. She is the Bishop of Freedom in Christ Mission International. She is a teacher, she is a life coach, and she is a counselor. Also, she's the president of Ladies of Great Destiny, also the president of CVCN, and an author. So you should know exactly the kind of person I'm bringing today on the show. I don't know if she's ready, but if we have Bishop ready and has joined us. Oh, she's there. Good morning, Ma. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. And you look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're talking about relationship with in-laws. So I want to ask, before we go on how to build relationship with our in-laws, the first it is, how can we have a good relationship? Okay, first, when we have a terrible relationship with our in-laws, I know it tends to affect the family, it tends to even rub off somehow on the relationship with your spouse and even the children. So the first thing is, when you see a red flag, maybe from your in-law, what is the first thing on how you can actually be able to deal with these red flags, no matter what they are?
Well, I believe that we do with the state of the mind in the first place. What you believe about yourself and what you believe about your in-law, your mindset before going into the marriage. That have a whole lot to do with what you see and how you take it.
Okay, so mindset is the deal. So great. Now, some persons have this amazing mindset that whatever kind of in-laws they might have, they will definitely be able to deal with such an in-law. So I want to ask, when you have a good mindset and somehow, or maybe the earth doesn't smile at you and you have, unfortunately, some very amazing in-law from the other side, which is a negative impact. Now, how do you tend to handle this thing step by step so it doesn't affect your spouse relationship, because of course it's your spouse's parent. So how do you tend to deal with it? Do you talk to your spouse first, or you just handle them personally, or you try to probably talk to your own parents so they could handle the issue, since maybe it's going to be parent to parent dealing with themselves? Or what do you think is the best way to go about it?
When you have an in-law that does not smile or behave in a strange way that you're not expecting, of course, in every marriage, there's always the expectation before a young girl goes into the marriage. So to some persons, they feel that they already have the mind that the in-law will behave in the opposite way. So when you have that kind of mindset, it's going to be a little bit difficult to relate with them. But as a godly person, going into a relationship with your in-laws, when they do not smile, you have to do everything you can to initiate a good relationship with them. Let them see you, because to them, they might also have, this belief that all daughters-in-law are somehow, that their behavior is not good, is not right. So you are the one who will make them to see things different from what they are expecting. Now, the way you present yourself, the way you handle things with them, of course, that will go a long way to change their mind and to make them also to smile, even when they are not ready to smile.
Thank you very much. So it will make them smile even though they are not ready to smile. I like the way you even started your statement. You said if they are in-laws that don't know how to smile. So yes, of course, mommy knows where we are coming from. Okay, so I want to digress a little bit. Now, I know that navigating relationship with in-laws are quite difficult, taxing, very sensitive. In fact, let me use the word very, very sensitive. So I want to ask, do you think that most of the reasons why people don't have good relationship with their in-laws is because they're expecting too much from their in-laws? You know, of course, yes, it's the kind of relationship they're going to have with them. But do you think some of the reasons why this relationship are not always so good is because the spouse, either the mother or rather either the man or the woman having issues or expecting too much from them?
The audio, maybe because it's raining here, the audio is
okay,
but I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm going to repeat what I said. What I said was, now I know navigating relationships between in-laws and of course between yourself and your partner is a bit dicey. You can hear me? Can you hear me, Bishop? Can you hear me? Okay, I think Bishop cannot hear me. Well, let's take a short break, so maybe by that time we'll have Bishop join us again. So I'm just going to go for a break right now. And this one, we're supposed to go deep into our conversations before even having this tip. And this one is more like a life tip, life hack for anyone who's in a relationship, you're about to get into marriage, or you're already in, you're settled, you're in your enjoying your marital affairs with your husband. I think this is just few tips. It's quite long, but for you to know it's long is for you to not put my heart into getting this. So these are tips for you to have a successful marriage, not just about your in-laws. Now, I believe if your marriage is successful, it will be quite easy for you to be able to relate with your in-laws. So let's quickly go for tips for a successful marriage. This tips is about 5 minutes. So, but when we come back, hopefully by then, Bishop Network will be perfect and we can go on with our discussion about relationship with in-laws in the studio. So let's go for the tips. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Tips for a successful marriage. Love or commitment. Love is a decision to be committed to another person. It is far more than a fleeting emotion as portrayed on television, the big screen and romance novels. Feelings come and go, but the true decision to be committed lasts forever, and that is what defines healthy marriages. Marriage is a decision to be committed through the ups and downs, the good and the bad. When things are going well, commitment is easy, but true love is displayed by remaining committed even through the trials of life. Sexual faithfulness. Sexual faithfulness in marriage includes more than just our bodies. It also includes our eyes, mind, heart, and soul. When we devote our minds to sexual fantasies about another person, when we offer moments of emotional intimacy to another, we sacrifice sexual faithfulness to our spouse. Guard your sexuality daily and devote it entirely to your spouse. Sexual faithfulness requires self-discipline and an awareness of the consequences. Refuse to put anything in front of your eyes, body or heart that would compromise your faithfulness. Humility. We all have weaknesses, and relationships always reveals those faults quicker than anything else on earth. An essential building block of a healthy marriage is the ability to admit that you are not perfect, that you will make mistakes, and that you will need forgiveness. Holding an attitude of superiority over your partner will bring about resentment and will prevent your relationship from moving forward. Patience or forgiveness. Because no one is perfect, patience and forgiveness will always be required in a marriage relationship. Successful marriage partners learn to show unending patience and forgiveness to their partner. They humbly admit their own fault and do not expect perfection from their partners. They do not bring up past errors in an effort to hold their partner hostage, and they do not seek to make amends or get revenge when mistakes occur. If you are holding on to a past hurt from your partner, forgive him or her. It will set your heart and relationship free. The relationship with your spouse should be the most intimate and deep relationship you have. Therefore, it is going to require more time than any other relationship. If possible, set aside time each day for your spouse, and the date night once in a while wouldn't hurt either. Honesty and trust. Honesty and trust becomes the foundation for everything in a successful marriage, but unlike most of the other essential on this list, trust takes time. You can become selfless, committed, or patient in a moment, but trust always takes time. Trust is only built after weeks, months, and years of being whom you say you are and doing what you say you will do. It takes time, so start now. If you need to rebuild trust in your relationship, you'll need to work even harder. Communication. Healthy marriage partners communicate as much as possible. They certainly discuss kids' schedule, grocery list, and utility bills, but they don't stop there. They also communicate hopes, dreams, fears, and anxieties. They don't just discuss the changes that are taking place in the kids' life, they also discuss the changes that are taking place in their own hearts and souls. Let go of selfishness. Always remember that what you do should be to enhance the marriage and your partnership, and not necessarily for yourself. That might be not spending money on yourself or moving across the country for the job, or picking a location so one person can have an easier commute. Cook for each other. Learn to cook. It's not that hard, you can have fun with it, and few things will make you happier than your spouse asking you to make that one dinner that she loves. Reaffirm your commitment regularly. During rough times, you have them. Agree that you're in this thing for the long haul and fully expect to stick it out and make it through to the next round of good times. Say it loud, make it known. Check in with each other every day. When everyone gets home at the end of the day, ask, how was your day? Let them vent. When they're done, they should know to ask you the same, so you can vent. Do this without fail. Be each other's best friend. Be buddies. Romance and dates are nice, but really be best friends. Flirt, wink at each other, banter. It really makes things fun and easy and awesome. Marriage with effort and the right person is incredible. Don't try changing your partner. When you try to change your spouse, you come across as a nag and wind up sending a message that who you are is not enough. Nobody likes getting that message, and it leads to distance and polarization. Let your spouse be who he or she is and focus on changing yourself. Listen to each other. Sit down, listen to each other, and write out how you want your future as a couple to look. It's much easier to create your best relationship together if both people's needs are voiced, heard, and supported by their partner. Respect is everything. Respect each other and avoid verbal abuse and keep insults to yourself. Bad words are like squeezing toothpaste out of a tube. Once it is out, you can never get it back in again. Try to understand each other more. A strong marriage is one in which both people understand that the other person needs to have outside interests and activities which help them to feel happy and fulfilled. A strong marriage is one where both people understand that it is more important to be happy than it is to be right.
All right, welcome back. You're welcome to Women's Corner. I hope we learned something from that tip. You know, I told you it's going to take about 5 minutes, and yes, it did. And that's because we want everyone, at least when you're in your marriage, you should have a successful marriage, especially coming from a woman. You know, even the Bible says that a nagging woman you would rather want to stay at the top of the roof than stay in a house with a nagging woman. So if, as much as even African culture believes that a woman is the only person that can actually mend a home, is the person that can put her home front in good place, I think we have a lot on our shoulders. That is why we actually have Women's Corner here. Okay, so our Zoom guest is still quite with us. So I'm going to. Oh, all right. Okay, I heard she's trying to connect again because of the network, because it's raining over there. Oh, wow. Okay, all right. Since we're waiting for Bishop, because we really need to get we need to learn from her experience, and of course we need her to talk to us as a mother, as a minister also, and of course as a wife, because she has been in this for quite a very long time, and she is one of the perfect person. Like I said, she's a life coach, she's a counselor, and she's a teacher, so you can understand why we really need her to join this conversation. So while we wait for her, let's quickly go check another life hack, and this one is how to create healthy boundaries. It's still part of your in-laws. You want to have a relationship with your in-laws, you have to know how to create a healthy boundary, not those boundaries that will feel like people will feel like you're being too rigid, or feel like you're being too, is there anything like too disciplined? I don't think so, but maybe you're too controlling, or maybe you're someone that just likes too much of privacy. I think you should be able to know how to create not just creating boundaries, but also creating healthy boundaries. So let's go check this life hack on how to create healthy boundaries, and of course we'll be right back. Hopefully then we have Bishop, then we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Tips on how to create healthy boundaries. Clearly identify your boundary. Get really clear with yourself about what the boundary is that you want to set. For instance, do you need your mother to stop calling altogether, or she can call you under certain circumstances? If you aren't clear, you won't be able to communicate your expectations. A wishy-washy boundary is not effective. Spend time figuring out what you need before taking action. Understand why you need the boundary. This is your motivation for setting the boundary. If you don't have a compelling reason, why are you going to allow? Why are you going to follow through with setting a boundary that's out of your comfort zone? Be straightforward. Don't be cryptic or purposefully vague, thinking you're going to spare someone's feeling or avoid a conflict. The kindest and most successful approach is to be direct. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't apologize or give long explanations. This kind of behavior undermines the authority and gives the impression that you're doing something wrong that requires an apology or justification. Use a calm and polite tone. Keep your own anger in check. Don't try to set boundaries in the middle of an argument. You want your message to be heard. Shouting, sarcasm, or a condescending tone or put others on the defensive and distract from the real issues. Start with tighter boundaries. It's always easier to loosen up tight boundaries than it is to tighten loose boundaries. People pleasing results in loose or weak boundaries that are hard to tighten up later. For instance, you set a clear expectation with your ex that you don't want her coming into your home when she returns to the children. From this firm boundary, it's easier to later invite her in if you feel it's appropriate. It's much harder to later tell her she can't come in when initially you're giving her free access to your home. Address boundary violations early. Some problems are always easier to manage. Don't wait until someone's violated the boundary a dozen times before you speak up. It's not fair to assume that others know your boundary until you've explained them. Nor is it fair to change the rules and, for instance, abruptly tell your cousin that you're not going to help pay her rent after you've done it with a smile on your face for the past. Use a support system. Starting to set boundaries is tough. It can bring up a lot of questions, a comfortable feeling, and self-doubt. Having a support system is invaluable whenever you're doing something challenging. Tips for a successful marriage. Love or commitment. Love is a decision to be committed to another person. It is far more than a fleeting emotion as portrayed on television, the big screen, and romance novels. Feelings come and go, but the true decision to be committed lasts forever, and that is what defines healthy marriages. Marriage is a decision to be committed through the ups and downs, the good and the bad. When things are going well, commitment is easy, but true love is displayed by remaining committed even through the trials of life. Sexual faithfulness. Sexual faithfulness in marriage includes more than just our bodies. It also includes our eyes, mind, heart, and soul. When we devote our minds to sexual fantasies about another person, when we offer moments of emotional intimacy to another, we sacrifice sexual faithfulness to our spouse. Guard your sexuality daily and devote it entirely to your spouse. Sexual faithfulness requires self-discipline and an awareness of the consequences. Refuse to put anything in front of your eyes, body, or heart that would compromise your faithfulness. Humility. We all have weaknesses, and relationships always reveals those faults quicker than anything else on earth. An essential building block of a healthy marriage is the ability to admit that you are not perfect, that you will make mistakes, and that you will need forgiveness. Holding an attitude of superiority over your partner will bring about resentment and will prevent your relationship from moving forward. Patience or forgiveness. Because no one is perfect, patience and forgiveness will always be required in a marriage relationship. Successful marriage partners learn to show unending patience and forgiveness to their partner. They humbly admit their own fault and do not expect perfection from their partners. They do not bring up past errors in an effort to hold their partner hostage, and they do not seek to make amends or get revenge when mistakes occur. If you are holding on to a past hurt from your partner, forgive him or her. It will set your heart and relationship free. The relationship with your spouse should be the most intimate and deep relationship you have. Therefore, it is going to require more time than any other relationship. If possible, set aside time each day for your spouse, and a date night once in a while wouldn't hurt either. Honesty and trust. Honesty and trust becomes the foundation for everything in a successful marriage, but unlike most of the other essential on this list, trust takes time. You can become selfless, committed, or patient in a moment, but trust always takes time. Trust is only built after weeks, months, and years of being whom you say you are and doing what you say you will do. It takes time, so start now. If you need to rebuild trust in your relationship, you'll need to work even harder. Communication. Healthy marriage partners communicate as much as possible. They certainly discuss kids' schedule, grocery list, and utility bills, but they don't stop there. They also communicate hopes, dreams, fears, and anxieties. They don't just discuss the changes that are taking place in the kids' life, they also discuss the changes that are taking place in their own hearts and souls. Let go of selfishness. Always remember that what you do should be to enhance the marriage and your partnership, and not necessarily for yourself. That might be not spending money on yourself, or moving across the country for the job, or picking a location so one person can have an easier commute. Cook for each other. Learn to cook. It's not that hard. You can have fun with it, and few things will make you happier than your spouse asking you to make that one dinner that she loves. Reaffirm your commitment regularly. During rough times, you have them. Agree that you're in this thing for the long haul and fully expect to stick it out and make it through to the next round of good times. Say it loud, make it known. Check in with each other every day. When everyone gets home at the end of the day, ask, how was your day? Let them vent. When they're done, they should know to ask you the same, so you can vent. Do this without fail. Be each other's best friend. Be buddies. Romance and dates are nice, but really be best friends. Flirt, wink at each other, banter. It really makes things fun and easy and awesome. Marriage with effort and the right person is incredible. Don't try changing your partner. When you try to change your spouse, you come across as a nag and wind up sending a message that you are is not enough. Nobody likes getting that message, and it leads to distance and polarization. Let your spouse be who he or she is and focus on changing yourself. Listen to each other. Sit down, listen to each other, and write out how you want your future as a couple to look. It's much easier to create your best relationship together if both people's needs are voiced, heard, and supported by their partner. Respect is everything. Respect each other and avoid verbal abuse and keep insults to yourself. Bad words are like squeezing toothpaste out of a tube. Once it is out, you can never get it back in again. Try to understand each other more. A strong marriage is one in which both people understand that the other person needs to have outside interests and activities which help them to feel happy and fulfilled. A strong marriage is one where both people understand that it is more important to be happy than it is to be right.
welcome back. As apologies for joining late, and at the same time, thank God we still had Bishop to join in into the program. Okay, apologies accepted, I believe. Okay, so Bishop, if we have Bishop, please come put it on the screen so we can try as much as possible to ask a few questions. Welcome back, Ma. It's good to have you. Thank you so much for trying to join in. Okay, so we can't take so much questions because our time is already fast spent. But I want to ask this question, which of course has to relate with spouses and in-laws, as which we initially said we're going to talk about, is how best do you think daughters can relate with their mother-in-laws, especially because we've noticed over time in Africa, in Nigeria especially, most times you find out that most of the relationships that are very severed is the relationship between a daughter and the mother-in-law. So how do you think they can build a healthy relationship, between themselves?
Well, I believe that the way they can build a healthy relationship between themselves is, number one, to try to be friendly and try to accept each other. Now, when the daughter-in-law sees the mother-in-law as her own mother, and the mother also sees the daughter-in-law as her own daughter, I think in such a way they'll be able to build a healthy relationship. Because as a mother, you will have a daughter who is going into marriage. You want her to be happy in marriage. And as a daughter, what you will not want another person to do to your own mother, due to you're not doing the same thing to your mother-in-law, I think in such a way there can be a healthy relationship.
Their needs in a relationship. When I mean needs, is maybe you have a particular issue with, yes, I totally agree, take your mother-in-law as your mother, but when you have a need or something you expect your mother-in-law to do, and you just feel like maybe you're probably not in the right position to talk to her directly, or you might not be able to talk to her directly that she would get it right so that she doesn't take it the wrong way. Now you tell your husband. So how do you think you should be able to even tell this husband, please, your spouse, so that he'll be able to understand where you're coming from and relate the same message to your mother-in-law without causing any tantrum or any side eye from the mother-in-law or negativity amongst themselves?
All right, depending on the presentation. Now, when you have an issue, it's better to talk with your husband and then let him know your feelings. And while explaining your feelings to your husband, you need to do it in such a way that he will not feel that you hate the mother. Now, if you present it in a way as if you hate the mother, obviously there's no way he will accept whatever you are saying. But when it's said with love, he will see it, that indeed you're not saying it because you hated the mother-in-law, but just that you just want the right thing to be done. When that is done, the man will be able to call the mother, because he's been with the mother all his life. So he understands the mother, he understands the like of the mother and the dislike of the mother. And don't forget that the mother-in-law would have also complained the daughter to the son. So in such a way, the son will be able to know the best way to put it better than you, the woman, who is just coming from a different background. You barely know this woman. So he knows the mother better than you, the woman. For me, if that is done, then the message will be properly passed across.
I want, in respect to what you say, more like a continuity. Now, what are the things you should and shouldn't do around your in-laws? For example, you are staying with your husband, so you guys can do anything you want because it's your home, it's your house. You know how you play, and sometimes, take for example, when you're cooking, maybe he's helping with the dishes, and definitely he knows that from his background, that's not what they do at home. all the men sit down, cross their legs, enjoy themselves. But here you are, because he understands you and he loves you and wants to support you. He's probably washing the dishes or washing the clothes, and you're doing some other things. Now you have your mother-in-law coming or your in-laws coming, and at that point, you know fully well that if your husband should continue in that way of helping you, they'll start saying something else, like, oh, they've used jazz on him, they've cooked something for him. Now at this point, what can you do? In fact, what are the things you have to do around your in-laws or your family, so it does not, it does not affect, because at the end of the day, whatever they see, they take home, they try to change some things, and that could cause issue between you and your spouse if you're not careful. So how do you deal with such a situation?
Simple adjustment, because there's no way the mother will be happy to see the son washing dishes, for instance. He will look at him and say, oh, the normal language they use, woman rapper. That's what he's going to use. So when you have your in-laws around you, the best you will do is to make adjustments, is to see that you do those things yourself. In fact, prove to them that you are a hard-working woman. Then when they leave, you return back to your normal life. Okay. To me, that's the way I look at it. Because if you allow him to do those things, they will go home with a negative impression about the woman. Whatever the man is doing, he's doing it out of love, but they won't see it that way. They will see it that the woman is trying to use the husband.
Thank you very much. That's wisdom speaking right there, because I never thought about it. I was actually thinking the response was going to be they will adjust, they will get used to it. But I think it's fair enough. So far they don't stay too long. They just come a day or two and they're off. I think women should try to manage, or maybe when they're not around, the husband can find a way to support her without them knowing. So because at the end of the day, like you said, is the woman they will say is she's wicked or something, or she has changed, or the man is a woman rapper and all of that. So yes, that's wisdom for that. Now there's one big problem again that people have when it comes to relationship with in-laws, and that's their cultural values and the natural values that they have as a family before joining with the man, or the man joining with the woman. Now how do you think a woman can actually be able to still maintain her cultural value or her value, at the same time embracing the man's cultural value? Or is this something that they probably need to sit down and talk about, or one person needs to drop his or her cultural value to be able to adapt to the other person? I do not understand. So I'm just asking, what is the best way to be able to work together despite having difference in cultural values and maybe values generally?
Over time, I've tried to counsel intended couple that the man is coming from a different background, you are coming from a different background. So there's no way either the man or the woman can hold tenaciously to their own culture or value. So this one is coming from this way, this one is coming from this way. So the best thing to do, you shift and the man shifts. So by the time the two of you move away from it, move away from here, you come to the center point where you will be able to, train away this person's culture. Either the woman train away her own, with discussion and adjustment, like I said, moving close, not holding tenaciously to your own. You discover that by the time both of you move, if this one shifts away from it, this one shifts away from his own, both of them will be able to come to the center point and live a happy life. There's no way, even if both of them are from the same place, there's still some little changes here and there, something that is not really together. It's just like you have twins. Twins, they are born by the same parents, yet they still have different personalities. So it is important at that point to see that, okay, what are your culture? What are my culture? What are your values and stuff like that, and discuss and then move away a little bit. By so doing,
you'll be able to find a better level ground, because marriage is sweet. Marriage is not supposed to be tolerated or endure. It ought to be enjoyed. Now, when you don't understand the right thing to do, you discover that there will always be problem, quarrel. Once quarrel starts setting in, the gap between the man and the woman will begin to get wider and wider by the day. And every marriage that break, don't just break overnight, just like there is nothing like sudden death. Things must have started happening. This one is complaining, this one is complaining. Oh, you are throwing away my belief. In our culture, the man will tell you, I am a typical Nigerian man, or I am a typical African man. So adjustment again is important. A little shift here, a little shift here, to be able to balance the culture and the value.
Thank you very much for that one. Okay, I really do appreciate all your input. I wanted to ask one last question, because our time is already gone. I'm supposed to wrap up by now, but just one more question. And this is just to address mother-in-laws now. We've been talking about daughter-in-laws and the couples, managing themselves, putting themselves together to avoid any unhealthy relationship between, the in-laws and, themselves. So now, to the mother-in-laws, to the father-in-laws, what advice will you give to them to be able to also have a healthy relationship with their, their daughter-in-law or their son-in-laws?
All right. I would say that understanding is very, very important. And I have a brother, when he was preparing for his marriage, he brought in the woman who I was standing in as a mother-in-law. I said to him, I said, what you know, that if your brother do it to if your husband, do it to you, or your brother-in-law, your mother-in-law do that to you, you won't like it. Don't do it to another person. So as a mother-in-law, you need your daughter-in-law to respect you, also respect yourself. Same with the father-in-law. You respect yourself, but there's a way you carry yourself. They'll look down on you. And most times the problem is from either the man or the woman. During the courtship, how do you present your parents to your would-be husband or wife? If you bring them down, that lady will surely look down on them. If you bring down your parents as the woman, the man will also look down on them. The parent will look down on them. So the best to do, balance it. Balance it. Then, like I said again, the parents-in-law should respect themselves and then respect their daughter-in-law. There's a way you take your daughter-in-law. She will treat you like her own. Why do you think Ruth cleaved to Naomi in the Bible, for instance? There was nothing she saw. There was no future. But she cleaved to Naomi and said, wherever you go, I will go. Your people will be my people. Guess what? That woman loved her like her own daughter. Because she loved her like her own daughter, that woman was ready to go any length. One thing I've discovered about women is that we can do anything when we are shown love and care, respect. Once we're able to do this, the woman can go any length. She can give anything. She's forsaking the name of her parents to take your own. To me, that already is enough of sacrifice. So if she could do that, so if she's accepted, she can go any length. That's the way I see it.
Thank you so much. I love that one. If a woman could drop her parents' name and take up yours. I think that's enough love language for every man to understand that they have to work things out and not, make it believe that, their mother supersedes her or supersedes her parent. Thank you so much, Bishop, for joining our program today. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Of course I did. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much, Bishop Ben. Thank you so much. And that's all from Bishop Ben. She did fantabulously well and gave us so much good advice, motherly advice. And of course, at the same time, she spoke like a mother-in-law, expecting other mother-in-laws and of course father-in-laws to learn from her. Remember, Bishop Ben Osaranti is the Bishop of Freedom in Christ Mission International. She's a teacher, a life coach, counselor, president of Ladies of Great Destiny, and president of CBCN, also an author. From all of us at Galaxy Television, we appreciate you, Bishop, for joining us. My name is Rose Blossom. Until not next week, tomorrow actually. I'm thinking it's Friday. Okay, until tomorrow, Wednesday, I will be talking about something more interesting, of course, which relates to women. Up next, News on the Hour, and right after that, we have The Buzz. So stay with us. My name is Rose Blossom. Until then, have a beautiful day. Bye for now.